In the bustling city of New York, a man named Daniel lived a life that many would consider unusual. Daniel was in his early 30s, tall and well-built, with a charming smile that could light up a room. He was successful in his career as a graphic designer and had a close-knit group of friends who cherished his company. Yet, despite his many qualities, Daniel harbored a secret that had affected his life in ways few could understand. Daniel had been blessed, or cursed, depending on how one looked at it, with an oversized manhood. What some might have considered a blessing turned out to be a source of endless frustration and heartache for him. In relationships, what initially seemed like an advantage soon turned into a barrier. Many women, initially drawn to his charisma and good looks, became overwhelmed when intimacy became part of the equation. Over the years, Daniel had faced countless rejections, each one chipping away at his confidence. He began to dread the moment in every new relationship when his secret would inevitably be revealed. He tried to compensate by being the perfect partner in every other way, thoughtful, attentive, and caring, but the pattern remained the same. Despite the initial excitement and chemistry, many of his relationships ended in disappointment and heartbreak. Determined not to let this define him, Daniel decided to focus on his career and friendships. He poured his energy into his work, earning a reputation as one of the most talented graphic designers in the city. His friends, aware of his struggles, supported him and encouraged him to stay optimistic. They often reminded him that the right person would eventually come along, someone who would appreciate him for who he truly was. One day, while attending an art exhibition at a local gallery, Daniel met a woman named Elise. She was an art curator with a passion for the avant-garde and a penchant for quirky humor. They struck up a conversation about the exhibits, quickly discovering a shared love for modern art and obscure films. Elise was unlike anyone Daniel had met before, confident, witty, and refreshingly genuine. As their friendship blossomed into something more, Daniel found himself drawn to Elise's open-mindedness and warmth. He was both excited and apprehensive about the direction their relationship was heading. The fear of history repeating itself lingered in his mind, yet there was something about Elise that gave him hope. When the time came to discuss the truth about his condition, Daniel was more nervous than ever. Over dinner in a cozy Italian restaurant, he took a deep breath and decided to be honest with Elise. He explained his experiences and the impact they had on his life. To his surprise, Elise listened intently, without judgment or discomfort. Instead of reacting with shock or rejection, Elise smiled gently and reached for his hand. "Daniel," she said softly, "what matters to me is who you are, not what you are. We all have things that make us different, and it's those differences that make us unique. I'm not going anywhere." Her words, simple yet profound, resonated deeply with Daniel. For the first time in a long time, he felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Elise's acceptance and understanding gave him a sense of peace he hadn't felt in years. As their relationship continued to grow, Daniel learned to embrace who he was, no longer defined by his insecurities. Together, they navigated the challenges and joys of their relationship, building a bond that was rooted in trust and mutual respect. Elise's support and love helped Daniel see himself in a new light, empowering him to embrace his individuality without fear. As their relationship progressed, Daniel and Elise enjoyed many wonderful moments together. They traveled, shared countless laughs, and supported each other in their personal and professional endeavors. However, as time went on, Elise began to experience discomfort during intimacy. What had started as a manageable issue gradually became more problematic, leading to growing tension between them. Elise struggled with her feelings. She genuinely cared for Daniel and valued their relationship, but the physical aspect had become increasingly challenging. She found herself dreading moments that should have brought them closer, and this began to affect her emotionally. One evening, after a long day at work, Elise invited Daniel over to her apartment. She had been contemplating the situation for days, torn between her affection for Daniel and the growing discomfort she could no longer ignore. As they sat on her couch, Elise took a deep breath and decided to speak her truth. "Daniel," she began, her voice tinged with sadness, I want you to know how much I care about you and how grateful I am for everything we've shared. But I need to be honest about something that's been weighing on me." Daniel listened intently, his heart sinking as he sensed what was coming. Elise continued, choosing her words carefully. "Our physical relationship has become difficult for me, and it's affecting how I feel about us. I've tried to make it work, but the pain has become too much to bear." The room was silent for a moment, the weight of her words hanging in the air. Daniel felt a familiar pang of disappointment, yet he knew Elise's honesty was coming from a place of sincerity. He nodded, appreciating her courage in addressing the issue openly. "I'm sorry, Elise," Daniel said softly, his voice filled with regret. "I never wanted to cause you any discomfort or pain. I understand if you need to make a decision that's best for you." Elise reached for his hand, squeezing it gently. "This doesn't change how I feel about you as a person, Daniel. You've been a wonderful partner, and I truly cherish our time together. But I think it's best if we take a step back from our relationship." They sat together in silence, processing the difficult reality. Despite the sadness of the moment, there was a mutual understanding and respect between them. They both knew that sometimes, even the strongest connections aren't enough to overcome certain challenges. In the weeks that followed, Daniel and Elise remained friends, supporting each other as they adjusted to their new dynamic. Elise continued to be a source of encouragement for Daniel, reminding him of his worth and the qualities that made him special. Although their romantic relationship had ended, Daniel was grateful for the time they had spent together. Elise had shown him that it was possible to be accepted and loved for who he was, even if things hadn't worked out as they had hoped. Daniel focused on healing and self-reflection, determined to learn from the experience and move forward with renewed optimism. He knew that finding the right person might not be easy, but Elise's acceptance had given him the strength to believe in the possibility of a future where he could be loved without compromise. After his breakup with Elise, Daniel was determined not to let the setback deter him from finding love. He approached new relationships with optimism, hoping that each one might lead to the connection he longed for. However, as the months turned into years, Daniel found himself caught in a frustrating cycle. Each new relationship began with promise. Daniel's warmth and humor made him a delightful partner, and his knack for finding creative ways to show affection endeared him to many women. Yet, no matter how strong the emotional bond or how compatible they seemed, the issue of physical intimacy remained a constant challenge. Despite his efforts to communicate openly and find solutions, the outcome was often the same: disappointment and heartbreak for both him and his partner. As relationship after relationship ended for the same reason, Daniel began to feel a sense of hopelessness creeping in. He questioned whether he would ever find someone who could accept him fully, including the unique challenge he brought to the table. The repeated rejections took a toll on his self-esteem, and he started to withdraw, avoiding dating altogether for a time. During this period of introspection, Daniel focused on personal growth and self-acceptance. He sought therapy to work through his feelings of inadequacy and rejection, hoping to better understand himself and his needs. He also turned to his creative work, channeling his emotions into art and finding solace in the creative process. His friends noticed the change in him and encouraged him to keep an open mind. They often reminded him that love was unpredictable and could come when he least expected it. Though skeptical, Daniel appreciated their support and slowly began to open his heart to the possibility of finding someone who would appreciate him for who he was. Eventually, Daniel decided to re-enter the dating world, but with a different approach. He joined a support group for people with similar experiences, hoping to connect with others who understood his struggles. Through this group, Daniel met people from various walks of life, each with their own stories of resilience and perseverance. It was at one of these meetings that Daniel met Mia, a talented writer who shared her own story of navigating relationships with unique challenges. Mia was candid and empathetic, and the two quickly struck up a friendship based on mutual understanding and shared experiences. They often found themselves lost in conversation, discussing everything from their favorite books to their hopes and fears for the future. As their friendship deepened, Daniel found comfort in Mia's presence. Her openness and acceptance helped him feel more at ease with himself, and he appreciated her ability to see beyond the surface. They often joked about their respective quirks, finding humor in the challenges they faced. Mia and Daniel's bond grew stronger over time, and they began to wonder if their friendship might hold the potential for something more. They were cautious, both aware of the difficulties they might encounter, but they were also hopeful. Their shared experiences had created a foundation of trust and understanding that neither had found in previous relationships. Despite their budding feelings, both Daniel and Mia knew they needed to proceed with care. They took things slowly, allowing their connection to develop naturally, and committed to communicating openly about their needs and concerns. Their friendship provided a safe space for exploration, free from the pressure of expectations and judgment. As they spent more time together, Daniel found himself daring to hope once more. He knew there were no guarantees, but Mia's presence in his life had rekindled a sense of possibility and resilience. For the first time in a long while, Daniel felt like he was on the brink of discovering a relationship where he could truly be himself. After months of careful navigation through their relationship, Daniel and Mia found themselves in a place they had both yearned for, deeply connected and genuinely in love. They had shared their fears and dreams, supporting one another through life's ups and downs. One crisp autumn afternoon, as they strolled through Central Park, Daniel knew he had found the person he wanted to spend the rest of his life with. He had planned a special moment by the lake, where the golden leaves reflected off the water, creating a perfect backdrop for what he was about to do. As they paused to take in the view, Daniel turned to Mia, his heart pounding with anticipation. "Mia," he began, his voice filled with emotion, "you've brought so much joy and understanding into my life. You see me for who I truly am, and for that I am endlessly grateful. I can't imagine spending my life with anyone else." With that, he dropped to one knee and presented her with a ring, the diamond glinting in the afternoon sun. "Will you marry me?" he asked, his eyes searching hers for the answer he hoped for. Mia's face lit up with joy, tears welling in her eyes as she nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, Daniel, 1,000 times yes," she exclaimed, pulling him to his feet and wrapping him in a tight embrace. Their wedding was a celebration of love and acceptance, attended by their closest friends and family. The ceremony was filled with laughter, heartfelt vows, and a palpable sense of joy that emanated from everyone present. For Daniel and Mia, it was the culmination of their journey together, a testament to the power of understanding and resilience. As they settled into married life, Daniel and Mia discovered a level of intimacy that neither had thought possible. Mia was refreshingly candid about her own experiences and insecurities, having faced challenges in previous relationships due to her anatomy. What had been a source of difficulty for others was, for her and Daniel, a perfect match. Mia's openness and comfort with herself allowed Daniel to fully embrace his uniqueness without fear. Together, they explored and communicated in ways that strengthened their bond, making their physical relationship a source of connection rather than conflict. However, just as they began to settle into their new life, a letter arrived in the mail that threatened to upend everything. It was addressed to Daniel, the handwriting unfamiliar but precise. Inside, the letter contained cryptic messages alluding to secrets from Daniel's past, secrets he had long buried and hoped never to confront again. As Daniel read the letter, a sense of dread filled him. He knew that he had to face whatever was coming, but he feared what it might mean for his relationship with Mia. The life they had built together was suddenly shadowed by uncertainty, and Daniel realized that the choices he made now could alter the course of their future. Determined not to let the past destroy what they had, Daniel resolved to tell Mia about the letter. But as he rehearsed the words in his mind, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a new chapter, one that would test their love and commitment in ways they had never imagined.